WrestleTalk!
I'm Oli Davis, this is the WrestleTalk News. Where in this episode, we've got behind-the-scenes scoops on LA Knight's backstage heat, news of a wrestler who's just left AEW signing with WWE, and my 1-minute, one-take recap of AEW Collision. But before any of that, we begin with our top story, the kind that wrestling fans who live on the internet can't get enough of. It's the juiciest, the hottest, the oh my god, I can't believe he just said that-ist. Detailed consequences of TV rights negotiation fees and analysis of quotes from Disney's CEO. I'm not even being sarcastic. I love this stuff. And I love you, Bob Iger! Mwah! In the modern era of pro wrestling, there is no single more important business metric to a promotion than TV rights deals. This has changed significantly since the territory days, where live event tickets were the industry's financial lifeblood. In fact, many promotions in the 80s lost money on their TV shows, instead using them as advertising to get more people to attend their live ones. WWE changed this in the 80s and 90s with the rise of pay-per-view, in the teens with the launch of the WWE Network, and then again more recently with Nick Khan's multiple billion-dollar long-term deals with the likes of Fox, the USA Network, Peacock, and the Saudi Arabian government. Instead of using TV to make money at your live shows, the wrestling industry was now being paid up front by TV companies to get people to watch TV. And it's a strategy that's worked, with pro wrestling, WWE in particular, becoming incredibly popular over 2023, frequently topping viewership charts. WWE's most recent set of TV deals were signed in 2019, which put Raw and NXT on the USA Network, and saw SmackDown debut on Friday nights on Fox, as was AEW's deal with Warner Bros. Discovery, which was then called Warner Bros. Because Warner Bros. Get bought every couple of years. All of those are set to expire at the end of this year, though, seemingly along with AEW's entire roster, and officials at both companies have reportedly been doing this. We're in the money. We're in the money. I love you, Prince Nana! But what happens if the TV business suddenly collapses in on itself and fundamentally changes the entire basis of sports broadcast monetization? We might be about to find out. This is Bob Iger, who I mentioned earlier. He's the guy who took over Disney after a rough decade of Michael Eisner and immediately bought Lucasfilm, Pixar, and Marvel. That worked out pretty well for him. I love him, he's my business bro crush. He's so good, in fact, that he retired in 2020 but returned as CEO late last year. Just like a pro wrestler. One more match, one more Q4 earnings report. He's arguably the most powerful person in media. So when he speaks, you listen. One reason he returned to Disney is to fix their flailing TV division. He's reportedly trying to eliminate 7,000 jobs across the company to save $5.5 billion in cost. And their sports channel, ESPN, has been hit particularly hard. And in what Dave Meltzer is calling a giant news story, CNBC is reporting Iger is attempting to make deals to give the NBA, NFL, and Major League Baseball minority owner stakes in ESPN. Meltzer speculates that Disney wants to at least partly offload ESPN to get out of the spiraling rights fees they have to pay to the likes of the NBA, NFL, and MLB. If those leagues owned part of ESPN, you'd hope they'd offer mates rates, because as more people cut the cord of cable in favor of streaming and advertising revenue declines, traditional networks won't have the funds to pay them, which is exactly the disappearing business model that the entire pro wrestling industry is currently reliant on. Meltzer notes, this spells potential disaster for every sport, as well as WWE, AEW, and UFC. In attempts to continually get more money each negotiation period, it feels to me this is the most dangerous challenge to this system that has served sports so well and made WWE and UFC into giant companies. It's something that will be deeply concerning to WWE Executive Chairman Vince McMahon, who just bet his entire future on that model. Not that he has time to think about it though, as the internet wants him to focus his attention elsewhere, on pushing LA Knight.
Oh, hi there. I'm 80s wrestler Turbo Jack. And part of my contractual obligations to WrestleTalk is to say a big thank you to everyone of the $50 or above WrestleTalk Pledge Hammers on Patreon. So a big thank you to you, where there's a Will Campbell, the Machine Gun, Alex Anderson, the Roller Coaster, Robert Acosta, the Black Plague, Butch Rosser, the Venerable Jesse Venable, the Cleaner, Kenny Shaw, the British Bulldog, Philip Boyd J. Smith Jr., WrestleTalk's personal ring announcer, Arrigo Benitez. He can last Sean for longer and you in the ring, Starbucks, Stephen Costa, and Shield Maiden, the Zornies. Go get your own shout out by going to patreon.com/WrestleTalk and loads of other exclusive WrestleTalk content.
Despite being one of the most over acts online and in arenas, LA Knight missed WrestleMania, he lost at Money in the Bank, and now after losing on Friday's episode of SmackDown, seems set to miss SummerSlam too. BWE have reported this might be because WWE want to crown a new babyface Latino champ in Santos Escobar, and Knight will get a new push after the next PLE. But Triple H has been saying that since April, and I don't think I believe him anymore. Wade Keller at PW Torch has since corroborated BWE's report of Knight being set for a big push, but it comes with a worrying undertone of trepidation. They write that Triple H has always been a fan of Knight, but Vince McMahon took longer to be won over. Knight has already mentioned main roster officials learning of his age. He's 40 when he was called up, so they made him a manager instead of a wrestler. Then just weeks into the act being on screen, Vince McMahon reportedly decided to write him out of the storyline because Knight had rubbed some people the wrong way and wasn't fitting in. He was replaced by his storyline sister, Maxine Dupree. BW Torch writes, however, that over time Vince McMahon has grown to be a fan of his. That, Triple H's fandom and the positive fan reactions means he's a candidate for a big push after SummerSlam. He's on course to get a push at a high level in spite of his below average work in the ring, because he has a special X factor and connection with the crowd that hasn't gone unnoticed by anyone. But then, rocking like it's a charity challenge from the summer of 2014, BW Torch has just chucked a giant bucket of ice water over those plans. They say Knight has a long-running reputation for rubbing people the wrong way behind the scenes and just being bad at backstage politics. Those who know him well tend to like him, and some of them have spoken up on his behalf when Knight gives a bad first impression. And then, in a peculiarly familiar final paragraph, if his push isn't sustained, even if crowds still like him, it'll likely be because he mishandled himself backstage in a way that caused him to lose the support of key people who can influence his push. I.e., it won't be WWE's fault if this fails, it'll be LA Knight's. Sometimes when WWE don't really want to push someone, stories seem to come out through various outlets that it's really because that person is difficult to work with, like Bray Wyatt was difficult to work with, like PW Torch again reporting that Keith Lee was difficult to work with. I've always found it a weird line for WWE sources to take, considering Brock Lesnar, Ronda Rousey and Charlotte Flair are all in your company, who seem incredibly difficult to work with, yet they're given opportunity after opportunity. The likely truth is, if WWE really sees something in someone, they'll make it work no matter how difficult they are to work with. But if they don't see that potential from the start, they won't bother, which is what I'm afraid is happening here. Particularly after Knight keeps getting sidelined premium live event after premium live event. Do you think WWE will ever push Knight properly? Talk to me in the comments. Anyway, WWE might actually have a new future star. Brian Pillman Jr.'s AEW contract expired on the 11th of January after being with the company since its inaugural Double or Nothing show back in 2019. He wasted no time though and was spotted at the WWE Performance Center just 2 days later. PW Insider reported WWE had immediate interest in him, and that appearance was simply a get-to-know-you type of meeting. Pillman has now teased a huge opportunity himself during a virtual signing. There is a lot to come. I can't speak on it right now, it's kind of in the works. I have a huge moment, a huge opportunity coming up in my career to continue making memories, to continue coming up with new gear ideas and sharing my version of pro wrestling with you all. Just in case you couldn't fill in the blanks yourself there, Body Slam is reporting a deal between Pillman and WWE is in place, or at least in the process of being finalized before it can officially be signed. Pillman is apparently set to move to Orlando by the end of August, where he'll start reporting to the Performance Center full-time. And Pillman isn't the only loss to AEW's roster, as daddy ass Billy Gunn seems to have announced his retirement on Saturday's episode of Collision. Here's everything that happened on that show in 1 minute, one take. 3, 2, 1. CM Punk said he wasn't even mad. He's impressed with Ricky Starks cheating to beat him and win the Owen Hart Cup. Punk trashed the local sports team despite being a face or a heel. Who even knows anymore? Christian Luchasaurus and Darby Allin turned up to book a tag team main event. Bullet Club Gold beat Action Andretti and Dante Martin. Miro squashed Nick Comoroto. Hopefully it's building him for something. The House of Black retained their trios titles against the Acclaimed and Daddy Ass again. After Black whispered something to Gunn, he removed his boots and walked past Caster and Bowens, pretending potentially signaling his retirement. Or it's a working McWorkface. But the Gun Sons also did post something on social media which makes it seem like it's maybe more legit. Ty Valkyrie beat Sky Blue. Taya is now a full-on heel and called out Baker. Everyone's a heel now. And the main event saw Starks and Christian beat Punk and Allen, which weirdly had Cage and Punk more as heels, despite being on opposite sides. Starks had his feet on the ropes for the pin on Allen. Everyone's even more a heel. Yes, 3 seconds remaining. I'm getting good at this. Now go watch 10 reasons why Jey Uso should or shouldn't beat Roman Reigns.
2020 seems to be drawing to an end with Jey Uso versus Roman Reigns at SummerSlam, which begs the question, should it end with main event undisputed champion Jey Uso? We have some thoughts about that. I'm Adam from WrestleTalk, and here are 10 reasons Jey Uso should and shouldn't dethrone Roman Reigns.